We work with a wide range of different clients in social policy, FMCG, do a lot of work in healthcare, and also some work in media.
And methodologically?
Well, we're here at an MRS research conference, and I've been talking to some people here about ethnographic research because they come to ask me, what do you do, what it is that you do. And the funny thing is that everybody talks about ethnographic research or has some other notion about what ethnographic research is. And I think within the industry, there's a real confusion about what it's supposed to deliver, what it really is, and how it adds value. And I think there's a real problem there.
But what about you yourself? I mean, what tools do you use when you do ethnographic research?
Well, there's a range of different tools you can use. Participant observation, co-discovery. We also do field notes. But the real essence of it is getting to the insight. Is getting to the finding out something that fundamentally make a discovery that you couldn't necessarily make through any other research techniques. That's why clients typically want to commission ethnographic research.
So doesn't that kind of set quite a strict set of limit you to a certain set of thinking tools that you need to use or technique that you need to use in order to get to the kind of answers that you can only get through using ethnographic research?
Yes. Not really. I mean, the way that we look at it is, you've got every technique will be suited to finding a type of question out. So if the question is one that suits ethnographic research, you're not really limited as such to the range of techniques you can use. For example, we did a study on insomnia. Now, the study was interesting because you're trying to get the client wanted to get an understanding of what it looked like to be sleep deprived during the day, but at night, what was their sleep hygiene like? In other words, how do people try to get themselves back to sleep? What was the emotional impact? The sort of physical impact in terms of how they felt, where their head was at, and we had to be there when they woke up at 3 in the morning. Now, how do you do that?
You were there?
Yeah. Well, the point was that we had to use some kind of research. We had to use. We had to think about a technique that would allow us to find out when the participant was going to wake up in the night and then go over there and spend some time. We needed to know when they were going to be awake, and we needed to spend some time with them to sort of observe this period of time where they were trying to get themselves back to sleep. Now, that's a really intimate, 3 in the morning, someone who's just gotten out of bed doesn't really want to be filmed. It's difficult. So what we did was use beeper studies, so they would text us. We'd be in a B&B nearby, and we'd go over there at 3 or 4 in the morning, spend some time with them, carry out some observations, and then slowly with their sort of permission, we'd film and observe key scenarios and then play them back. So we're using a range of different techniques there. The beeper studies, video ethnography, the co-discovery method, the field notes. So there's a wide range of different techniques there at work, but it depends what the problem is. And you imagine using the wide range of different techniques depending on what it is you're trying to understand.
How you differ with me or with us is we stick to video. And whether it's somebody videoing themselves or us videoing them, we try to kind of ring fence that as our territory, as our ethnographic territory, as being a separate entity from diaries, text diaries, or leaflets, or things like that. But
we see it a bit differently. I mean, the exciting thing about ethnographic research is there's no one way of doing it. There's no one way of doing ethnographic research. The exciting thing about it is, we think, is the different techniques you can use to understand human behavior, different range of techniques that are available to make sense of people's behavior. And video is excellent. Video is excellent, and we also use it a lot. It's one of our primary research tools because it makes behavior transparent. You can see it, you can observe it, you can share it. But it's not always, we found in our experience, it's not always the best technique to use under certain circumstances. For ethnographic research, it's essentially discovery-orientated. It's open-ended, you're making discoveries in situ, in real time, understanding the context, and it's context that shapes people's behavior, and that's really, really interesting. Now so I'm talking about it as a process involving immersion, observation, participant observation, empathy, that sort of thing. And I'm talking about it as a product. You end up with something, whether it's video, as we've talked about, whether it's a set of field notes. So it's both process and it's product. And I think without the process, you haven't really got a product that you can call ethnographic research. Of course, it's all about creating some kind of insight that's going to make and affect your client's business so they can do something with it. So there's the value there. But I think when the question is asked, when a client wants to conduct an ethnographic research, they better have a good idea about what they're buying into and have a good idea of what the kind of questions are suited to an ethnographic investigation. And of course that's our responsibility. Why? Because if it doesn't go right, you don't want, if clients start getting their fingers burned, then it'll affect us horribly. It'll be something that clients don't trust anymore, they don't really understand, they don't really see what the value is over focus groups and other traditional quant techniques.